everyone. Greetings. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. Brown girls are beautiful. I hope y'all can hear me clearly. So I'm going to try to check with my other phone to see if I can be seen and heard. Okay, I'm going to double check to confirm if I can be seen and heard. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. It looks like I can be seen and heard. So if you're new here, I'm not going to just tell you to automatically like and subscribe automatically because I don't like when people do that. But I am doing my wrist exercises for those of you who have been following me regularly. You already know the routine. So I got to put my wrist in this wax and do what I need to do because I do believe that we can heal our bodies naturally, everyone. Naturally, ladies, I've been watching a lot of things about health, female health, and we need to change our diets. We need to be eating green, leafy vegetables, myself included, drinking way more water. So I did go to the store and purchase this right here, which I rather make my own. But like if you don't really have time and you're busy like me, and you have a lot going on, then this probably is helpful to get some of these drinks. Let me see, what does it have in here? It says it has kiwi, and I love kiwi. I love mangoes. I love a lot of fruit. Broccoli, spinach. I love spinach. Spirulina, wheatgrass, all the things that are good for our insides, okay? So that is just something that I wanted to touch on because we want to make sure that we have healthy, strong bodies, immune systems, bones, blood circulation, get our bodies moving, get our kundalini energy going, y'all. Shout out to the Ankh. For those that know, where that comes from. When they show you the cross, shout out to the Ankh. Okay, for those people out there who know what I'm talking about. So let's get into it, y'all. It is so funny to me. Oh, I forgot. I got to talk about this too. I want to give a special acknowledgement to my client. She texted me. I just got her text a few minutes ago. We were out looking at houses the other day, and she did tell me that her dog made, oh goodness, that her dog was experiencing congestive heart failure. And the vet told her about a year ago that they would need to put the dog down. I had a chance to meet the dog, very sweet dog, and she wasn't putting her dog down. The dog was just fine. She was, very jovial, very sweet. And unfortunately, we were out the other day. She said her dog seemed like she had a seizure in the middle of the floor one night. And then today, y'all, let's send prayers for her dog, okay? She texted me and she said, Grand Rising. I'm not going to say my name on camera. My sweet baby girl is gone. Paw prints with a broken heart. Seized in her sleep and never recovered. It looked like a combo heart event, then massive seizure, a little blood from the mouth. Then everything stopped. Afterwards, she felt the same as always, warm and soft. I rubbed her for a long while, just sat in the quiet, then wrapped her in green crochet blanket and placed her in a box. We'll bury her today. Sad face, paw prints, broken heart, prayer hands, paw print, upset heart, paw prints, praying, blue heart, dog. Send her some love and prayers, please, my sweetest little companion ever. Heart, paw prints, heart. Y'all, that is, for anybody that has a pet or has pets, that is some of the most heartbreaking news to have. Yes, thank you, DJ. Rest in peace, Charlie. Oh, you said rest in peace, Charlie. I'm not talking about Charlie. I'm talking about this dog, Sydney. So condolences to the dog. Okay, Sydney. Condolences to Sydney, y'all. And I really, really hope that Sydney, will get her angelic wings and be a spiritual guide to my client. It's never easy. I had some other clients and they had an issue with their dog as well. And y'all, departing from a pet is never easy. So for the people that have animals out there, if you've ever lost your pet or whatever happened and y'all had to depart, my heart goes out to those people that had to experience that. I really, really feel, a sense of mourning for the people that lost their pets out here, because it's not that's not a good feeling. I have only experienced that one time, but I've been departed from my pets a few times, not really due to death. One of them was when I was younger, but I wasn't old enough to understand I wasn't old enough to understand the concept of what death was because I was so young. I might have been like 4 or 5 years old, and we had this cat named Tammy, and Cat was like some type of tabby. She was gray, and I remember um, my parents used to let her kind of like wander outside. And one day I was rubbing Tammy, and on the back of her neck, I felt like this little hole on the, back part of her neck. And I told my mother, and then I think my daddy took her to the vet, and he returned, y'all, with no Tammy in sight. So I'm asking, well, where's Tammy? When she's coming back. So basically, I think they put her down, they put her to sleep. According to what I guess the vet was saying, it would have been very, very expensive to get her um, surgery or something like that. Like I said, it's a little shaky in the details because I was so young. So when they said put her to sleep, I'm thinking as a young girl, I didn't know any better. I'm like, so when is she coming back? And my mom was like, well, Tammy's not coming back. So that was that. I had another bad experience, y'all, when I was living in Germany. And I know this thing is about Charlie Kirk, but hold on, let me just talk about this for a second. Because when I was living in Germany, our babysitter came to our door with this kitten. Her cat had kittens. And so we begged, we pleaded for my mother to let us have this kitten. My daddy wasn't there because he was away in the military. Like he was off, on the military duties. He used to stay gone a lot for months at a time, y'all. So we're standing at the doorway pleading for my mother to please let us get this kitten, right? Please, please, please. And she was looking all cute. So the babysitter was like showing off the little kitten. So my mom was like, well, your father's not here to make this decision, but we ended up getting her to allow us to have this kitten, right? So this kitten got very, very attached to me. Of all the people in the family, she used to follow me from room to room. I remember I ended up getting, what is it called? Pneumonia. Was it pneumonia? No, the flu. I got the flu, y'all. I got the flu, and the entire time that I had the flu and I was sick, don't you know that cat would lay down beside me? She would not move until I moved. When I got up and went to the bathroom, she got up and followed me around. That is the connection that her and I had. My mother named her Frisky. So lo and behold, we had to leave Frisky in Germany. She couldn't fly back with us because she was pregnant, y'all. So when they took her to the vet, she was pregnant. So I was so heartbroken that we couldn't bring her back because we had her for a few years at that point. And what ended up happening is one of the neighbors in the apartment building said that she would watch the cat and send her on the plane. They wouldn't let her fly because she was pregnant. So my daddy wrote a check to this lady to send Frisky on the plane. Don't you know the lady was writing us back and forth? So the lady wrote a letter saying that Frisky finally had her kittens. One of them, a couple of them looked like her. I was like, oh, they're so adorable. I want one of the kittens. I didn't actually see pictures, but I was just imagining in my head what they looked like, right? Because she was a gray tabby as well. Don't you know that lady sent another letter back to my parents saying that she had given Frisky and her kittens away? Y'all, I cried. I cried about that cat. I remember I was at my cousin's house in the bed. My sister was there and I was crying about Frisky. I was so heartbroken. I just was so sad. I was in my granny's yard talking about Frisky because I was just imagining her being there and us reuniting again, y'all. So my condolences for anybody that has had to go through that tragic loss of a pet. I'm drinking coffee, looking at my Donald Trump picture on the wall. Good for you, Jose. I hope that Donald Trump makes you happy. What's good, King Hazy? What's good? Shout out to you. Oh, so I'm sorry. Back to the title. Well, I'm not sorry. Back to the title of this video. Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece says Charlie Kirk was a good Christian man, non-racist. Oh, good for you. And I'm happy that she said that and that makes you feel better. Okay, so getting on. So you see how triggered they are, King Hazy? And as a matter of fact, since you're a moderator, you already know what to do. But yeah, they're very triggered. And whenever we have a platform and we're conversing amongst ourselves, you notice how they have to basically interject themselves in the conversation. It's so interesting how they are fixated on our energy over here. I find it very amazing, right? I find it very amazing. And then they find the need to post unnecessary comments that make no sense. Yeah, that's what it seems like. Um, well, King Hazy, if they're not respectful, go ahead and use the wrench. Don't give them a warning because they already know why they're here. Yeah, I just found it so interesting. So let me read some of the comments and how they are triggered. They say hit dogs will holler. So I think it was only, I think that it was only, what's the word I'm looking for? I think it's only fitting that I started this conversation off talking about dogs and pets, right? Because don't they really like dogs? Aren't some of their people known to be, dog owners? And don't their women like to, what is it called? Bestiality with dogs? Wasn't there an article in the news when the dog and the dog owner got stuck together and they had to go to surgery and pull them apart? It's very interesting that, the type of relationship they have with their dogs, y'all. All right, but anyway, like I said, hit dogs will holler. So let's get into it, okay? Let me go through my comment section on my prior video yesterday because I was working with children. And as you all know, I was talking about Candace Owens having more to say about this whole scenario than Charlie Kirk's wife. So because I made that statement and I was talking about Candace Owens' video and I was playing a segment of her video, the hit dogs came out to holler, y'all. Someone said, Candace has started backtracking on her claims of threats made to Charlie Kirk. The lawsuit's threats probably already are coming in. And that's fine if that's your opinion. Someone said, we have a saying in Ireland, self-praise is no praise at all. What did that have to do with anything? It's my understanding. What's good, Lund Sundove? I'm new here. Brown is beautiful. Thank you. It seems that they are triggered by the title of my channel, which I've had for 6 years, so I can't understand why all of a sudden they're so drawn to the channel now. Okay? So they said, we have a saying in Ireland, self-praise is no praise at all. I don't have to self-praise myself. This praise is for my brown girls out here and my melanated queens and melanated kings. If you don't like the name of the channel, leave. Simple as that. But for some reason, they seem to be very fixated on our energy and on our talking points and on our conversations, right? They always have to interject themselves for some reason into our spaces. And I just think they want to be acknowledged. And it really offends them when we have anything that we're trying to impose upon ourselves for positivity and empowerment. And for some reason, I just can't understand why they're so triggered. Okay, let's keep going. These quotes are out of context to suit your agenda. Like he didn't believe in empathy, but the full quote was, he preferred sympathy as you can't know how a person feels. So my comment back to that was basically, to sum it up, is nowhere in that conversation was I talking about Charlie Kirk quotes. So that lets me know they didn't even listen to the video, right, in its entirety. I was speaking about Candace Owens and how I feel that she should be very careful with the claims that she's making, and the fact that she seems to have more passion, more compassion, more fury about this whole debacle than his own wife, as she gave that very candidly lack of empathy, lack of emotion. Charlie, my Charlie. When she was doing that. And I was saying how, Candace was sharing video footage, showing like pictures of them two, and giving some I guess, context into his personality, as she said that they were like brother and sister, according to what she thinks. Now, I used to have a friend that reminded me of Candace Owens, and my friend, we were, you know, friends back in 8th grade because I went to, if you didn't know, I've gone to a diversity of different schools. I also went to like an all white school as well. And I didn't like it there because, unfortunately, people are very disconnected with what goes on in the real world, for those of you who are not unaware of that. So while I was at this predominantly white school full of Caucasoids and Caucasians, what ended up happening is that myself and another melanated female, we were the same age in 8th grade. She was very petite like myself, and she was brown skinned just like myself with pretty beautiful long hair, and she's very beautiful as well. Well, everybody used to say when we walked around the mall that we looked like models. And like one day she told me that somebody told her that she looked beautiful to be a black girl. And like, I guess that's supposed to be some type of term of endearment, but like, I don't understand why she would take that as a compliment. Hence my channel, Brown Girls Are Beautiful, because I feel that we need to set the precedence for what we want to see in society. And since people are so offended by the channel, they can click off, right? Because it's not for them, it's for the people that this channel was meant for. Now, if you understand where I'm coming from, welcome. If you don't, click off. So my friend said to me one day, like, I always knew that my children would like be biracial and mixed. And she really meant that, y'all. I took offense to that because I'm like, what is it about yourself that you don't like? Okay, why are you making these claims? Like, I feel like you can find love in any nationality, any race. It really doesn't matter to me because I come from a background where I grew up around a lot of diverse, different nationalities and cultures, from Hispanics to Asians, you know, to everybody, right? Because my father was in the military. So that comment that she made me wonder, what is it that she doesn't like about herself? Why would she go outside of herself to feel that her children should be mixed? Lo and behold, I was working at the bowling alley like when I was younger, and I was like talking to this white girl and like this black girl, and they were friends, and like they were talking to me, and they said like when they went to the mall, my friend was telling them like, if any black dudes try to talk to you, like don't even give them any attention, like just keep walking. So I was wondering about these things because I kept hearing about comments that she was making. So one day she was talking to me and she said that someone broke into her friend's house and stole some type of PlayStation and the remote controls to it. And this is when we were working together at the bank, which I helped her get the job for because she contacted me, reached out to me, and I personally gave the hiring manager her resume. Oh, by the way, the hiring manager was a melanated male. He was actually the VP of our department. Actually, not the VP, he was the president of the department. And you know what he said in the interview? He said, "I like you." So he went ahead and hired me, and then because I gave him her resume, like he hired her, and like this has happened a couple of times to me, and you know my career path, and so like I've gotten people hired, you know, because they like me, and because I don't think it was due to DEI, and I don't think it was due to affirmative action. I really think it had something to do with the type of worker that I was, because I was high production, a high producer, and performed very well in my jobs. But like according to Charlie Kirk, that couldn't be the case. The only reason I would have gotten those jobs is because like they felt sorry for me and I was underqualified and it was DEI, right? Oh, so like my 2 degrees that I had with all my certifications and my real estate license and my notary public, like all of that doesn't matter. And the fact that I have a clothing brand, like I didn't get that because it was DEI that got it for me, right? Okay, so anyway, she got hired right at the bank. And while we're at the bank, and she said that somebody broke into her friend's house, she was saying that they stole the PlayStation and the remote controls. Don't you know what she said to me? Oh, I bet it was like some type of like black dudes that did that shit. When she said that out of her mouth, I'm looking at her like, does she really know what she's saying to me? And it was not that. It was just like, even when her and I, we used to hang out sometimes. We went around one of my friends, and he was a melanated guy. And I noticed how she didn't want to speak to him, right? So, with all that being said, my whole point is Candace Owens kind of reminds me of my friend, right? And I had to kind of like disconnect myself from her because in a way she can't help it because she went to the all white Caucasian school. She lived in like predominantly like that section of where she lived, because I used to go to her house, is one of those communities. There were a sprinkle of us there, but I saw how off balance it was when I went to that school. So that was my first year going and my last. I've also gone to a predominantly melanated school as well, which gave me a culture shock because I didn't know that it existed here in America, but apparently it does. Because like I said, I am used to diversity. And when I went to that school, I saw the lack of standards, okay, when it comes to the education system. That's why I work with children and I talk about it so much. For those of you who understand this channel and have been rocking with me, you know that I said I tutored children from second grade, third grade, fourth grade. I've even, taught fifth grade. Now, I don't go past middle school and high school because these children, y'all, I'm so short and petite. Yesterday, I had a girl, she was like in fourth grade. She was like, I'm almost the same height as you. How tall are you? She was like 4 or 5 foot what? I said, yes, I've always been short. And like one of the teachers was like, you're blending right in with the children. But my whole point is these children embrace me, whether they're Hispanic, whether they're Middle Eastern, whether they're melanated, whether they're Caucasian. They all like me and they take to me. I had children that recognized me from last year and got excited. Oh, it's you, it's you. Can you come to my class? So for those that are hypersensitive, because I'm talking about these affairs of Charlie Kirk, I don't care, okay? That's the whole point. I don't care. When do we get to the point? When I feel like it, Kaiser. Okay? When I feel like it. Um, let's go back through these comments, y'all. All right. So then somebody said, it's called humidity. Humidity. I said, are you trying to say humility? I'm confused, right? Because don't come in my comment section and you can't even properly spell. All right, next. Oh, but I guess I don't know how to spell because DEI says that basically that, melanated people aren't qualified enough to know how to spell, right? Okay. Let's keep going. Someone said fine as always. That's not me complimenting myself. That was coming from someone that watches the channel. So like I said, hit dogs will holler, y'all. These quotes are out of context to suit your agenda, like he didn't believe in empathy. I already read that. What else did they say? There was some more on here. And I'm going to try to find them, y'all. Oh, somebody said all her sources are they. This was two hours ago. The family said he started dating his roommate. So what? I don't care if the family said it. I said they said it. So regardless, aren't the family referred to as they? Yes, they are. Okay? So get over yourselves. We have okay, I read that one already. And then we have this guy, I'm not going to read his title, but he said, he literally said, black women don't have the brain power to do certain jobs, right? And then he said, black people were better off before civil rights. If he sees a black pilot in an airline, he will think twice and would want to check his license. There are another 10 derogatory things he said about our people publicly. No one deserves death, but it's not political opinion to be a racist. I find it shameful to see my people crying over this guy. That is what one of the people put in my comment section. Then somebody by the name of Lenny77199 4 hours ago, the hit dog hollered and said, you're a liar. Go find the entire quote and post it. Race baiting liar. I'll wait. Let me tell you something, Jimmy. I am a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen around here. And even though I'm 65 years old, I can tell you one freaking thing. With his 3 decades and 1 year of life, he knows more about what happened in this nation than I did. And I'll follow him for the rest of my life. And you better not say a goddamn thing about that Charlie Kirk. You have to go and listen to the whole thing. He's talking about DEI and how they are filling in jobs with people unqualified, says Daisy Dale 967. Obviously, you didn't listen to the whole conversation, but people never do. They're just hear a 10-second clip and think it's the truth. Do better, says GGC329. And then somebody replied back to her and said, black people were better off before civil rights. You see a black pilot and wonder if they're actually qualified. That's not what I think, by the way, when I see a pilot that's melanated or any other race. And I talked about that in my prior video. Kirk has given you too much confidence. He could say anything on camera and you'll lick his boots. You'd rather lie than admit what the man said was racist. Complete delusion. I'm not even American and I can see it from here, he says. And then this Daisy woman said, white people have been getting jobs. Oh, no, no, no. This other guy said, white people have been getting jobs just because they're white for the last 100 years. You're 40% more likely to get a job if you don't have an African, I'm going to say an ethnic sounding name or Asian name in 2025. You do realize DEI was started because underqualified white people kept getting jobs, right? For decades, no complaints there. Also, you actually agree black people have had it better before civil rights? Question mark. And it says, or are you of sound mind and you have the ability to critique anything Kirk said? Okay. And then I said, I certainly did not cry about this guy. So I'm not going to cry about somebody I didn't know. All right, that's just point blank to the period. Well, I'm going to cry. That's like so disingenuous. Like for me to mourn someone I didn't know. Right? I didn't know about him until they shoved him down our throat on social media. And now that we're talking about it, and now that we went back to research what he said out of his own mouth, playing his own video clips that I watched in full context, where people are making the narrative that I only watched a 10-second clip, I actually watched the entire videos that he posted on his channel. So that gave him clicks and views. So you should be happy that I supported his channel, okay? And I still disagree with his narrative and his antics. Now, I did say that there were some things that I did agree about, such as we need more melanated people to be fathers, right, to their children. But we also know that there has been systematic oppression that people like to ignore. And if you bring it up, oh, you're a victim. You're blaming us because you can't do X, Y, and Z. Oh my God. You know, get over yourselves. Like, I'm over that. But anyway, what are you talking about? Okay, I'm good. Okay, I said I was speaking about Candace Owens. I said you sound triggered. Hence the title of this video. They seem triggered, right? They're very triggered. Because you notice they come over in droves as soon as you mention this Charlie Kirk character, right? They come over in droves. Y'all, I didn't personally know this individual. Neither did a lot of these people coming into the comment section, coming into the chat section. They act like this is their savior, their Jesus, right? Looking at the sky daddy on a cloud. So then someone said, oh, somebody says, oh, sadly, a lot of people have now been inducted into what the British, call Kirkism. He could say the most racist stuff and they'll still back him. He just posted that comment 27 minutes ago. You know, so here's the thing that I find very ironic, because they talk about the right to free speech, right? And didn't he have the right to free speech? But apparently whoever shot him, I think it's deeper than what he was saying. I think it had something to do with him swaying about his viewpoints on Israel. And since he stood for the right to free speech, when people come and talk about their opinion about this Charlie Kirk character, that is the same right of free speech that he believed in. But then when you have your right of free speech, and you don't say anything too derogative towards him as he did about melanated people, when you're not being, very derogative about him and you just say you disagree with him, they still get triggered and the hit dogs will still holler. I find it very ironic. So you can never satisfy these type of individuals. They're insane. It sounds like insanity to me. It sounds like they need psychological help. And, I just find it so interesting that they interject themselves into every conversational piece that we're having amongst ourselves and get mad when we haven't even spoken about in the video what he was saying. In the video, I am talking about Candace Owens going hard for Charlie Kirk. But because they didn't listen to the full context of my video, they automatically assumed that I did not listen to the full context of Charlie Kirk's videos. Isn't that ironic how hit dogs will holler? What do they say? The kettle calling the pot black or something to that effect? I don't know. But it's interesting, y'all. A simple Google search will set who straight. I don't even know. You know what? No, I'm not calling all white people racist. Did y'all hear me say that out of my mouth? Joshua Garrison? Is that what I said out of my mouth? You see how they twist the narrative? I find it so interesting. Y'all, it is scary that we're living in 2025 and we still have people that don't have comprehension skills. Like it's on an all time low. And I really hope that people get that together, especially when they misinterpret and misquote what I am saying on a live video. Did I ever come out of my mouth and say all white people are racist? Did y'all hear me say that? Let me know in the comment section, did I say all white people were racist? That's very interesting that somebody would jump to that conclusion from everything that I just said. Oh, oh, goodness. Anyway, David said, nope, but they're making it hard. Every human is unique, says Lydia in makeup. Yes, indeed, they're all unique. And if you really go back into our lineage and, our ancestry, most of us are mixed anyway. And like I said on my prior video, my cousin did a DNA ancestry test and found that there was 30% European mixed in the bloodline. And I think we know how that may have gotten there. Okay. So anyway, because I have, this Brown Girls Are Beautiful channel, like I said, hit dogs are hollering. They're coming over here. They weren't coming over here at first, but they're coming over here now. They always want to interject themselves. They always want to be acknowledged. They always have some type of opinion. And let me tell you this, we're not here for validation. We're not here to prove ourselves. I'm over that. If they don't like it, too bad, go somewhere else. What else? We just don't need to prove ourselves, because no matter what you say, you never have any type of, they're never going to embrace what you say, okay? And they're never going to accept you, and that's fine, because they qualify them or classify themselves as Christians, a lot of them, right? And we know what the Bible says about that, where you're supposed to love thy brother and love thy neighbor, but we know they don't practice that in their hearts. Hence, why they come into the comment section saying all these things and calling all these names and being so emotionally triggered about someone they never met in their entire life, somebody that they probably personally didn't even know, y'all. It's just so interesting, y'all, the fabric of America. And some of melanated people, like I said, I think we definitely should. Well, I got my passport. I want y'all to get out of this country, travel more, because even though, like I said, the German people, which they classify, that's where the Nazis originated with Adolf Hitler, and they painted that picture of Adolf Hitler. He was not an enemy of ours, melanated people. Okay, he was not our enemy. So I know that they write a lot of the history in textbooks, and I know that they always try to white frame the narrative of our history. But it's time that we start getting out and exploring for ourselves to see how we are embraced by so many other cultures and nationalities, and how that people really do revere us, and stop practicing this hate speech that a lot of them like to press upon us, okay? And so for my melanated queens out there, what's good, Kaiser? Oh, I'm delusional. Why don't you get help? Why are you over here if I'm delusional? You said Black Mega League? I don't even know what that is. Oh, y'all are blowing up the comment section. Y'all are very, very fixated right now. Y'all see how they are? I'm delusional, but I am speaking of sound mind and sound, in my sound mind. So I don't know how I'm delusional when I'm having a very intellectual, calm conversation, by the way. And he makes baseless claims just like Charlie Kirk would do, just how Charlie Kirk would do without meeting every melanated female out there. It seems like he feels that melanated people in general were on a less of a scale, according to his 31 years walk of life, right? So I guess he can speak for the people that fought for the civil rights, because he was around to live through that. I guess he could speak for, what people stood for when, they had to fight all of these injustices, because he was around to live through that, right? Wrong. He was not around to live through a lot of that, okay? So we got to be very careful who we follow and who we listen to, okay? And debatable. Oh, you're guessing that I have no job. Oh, I feel sorry for you that you come to these conclusions because you're a Charlie Kirk supporter. You sound just like your Savior. I'm so sorry for you. What video did I watch? A lot of them, Jason. The title, I don't memorize his videos because they're not that important to me. But apparently, it's important enough for y'all to come over here. Y'all, they're so triggered. And like I said, they were going to show up. Like I said, Hit Dogs will holler, and you'll see them coming more and more over here, as we speak about how we feel, as we speak about the truth, and as we continue to talk about the things that he said out of his own mouth. They will continue to come over here being the hit dogs that they are, and they will continue to holler and howl. It's kind of like what T.I. said one time when they said it's like the dog howling at the moon. And no matter how much that dog will holler, that moon will still sit in the sky and it will still shine and rise. That's what I said. Oh, majority of you have been watching them for years. I wasn't watching them, y'all. I didn't know about them until the other day when they started posting them all over the internet. Simple as that. Y'all ain't Christian. I don't even subscribe to Christianity. So if you don't like that, get off the channel. I don't subscribe to religion. If you don't like that, get off the channel. Okay? And let's talk about Christianity because Christianity was actually forced upon the world for rule, okay, and control. And if people go back and do their research, there's a book called Stolen Legacy, which talks about the spiritual practices of African people and how basically they stole some of that for themselves and remixed it and gave it back to us. So this is why a lot of people have been indoctrinated with religion. And since we want to talk about it, a lot of these quote unquote Christian and pagan holidays are not for us, such as Thanksgiving and Christmas, which if you do your research, you'll find that Thanksgiving is actually the celebration of the slaughtering of our ancestors, okay? The beheading and slaughtering of our indigenous people. So I don't subscribe to your Christianity practices, and I will never, and nobody can ever make me subscribe to Christianity practices that go against my ancestors' slaughtering and suffering, okay? And if you don't like it, too bad, because their blood runs in my veins, and it would be an abomination for my great, 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 great ancestors to sit there and see me feast at the slaughtering of their suffrage. And if you don't like it, too bad. Go do some research, okay? It is not about the whitewashed history. It is about what really happened, and a lot of you can't handle it, okay? And that is not my problem. Also, when we want to talk about Christmas, what you want to sit your child in the lap of a red devil suit, okay? The lap of a Caucasian male dressed in a red devil suit. Let's talk about it. That sounds like pedophilia, right? First of all. Secondly, where did they get that narrative from? That came from Saint Krampus, okay? Saint Krampus, who is that? Saint Nicolaus. Where does Saint Nicolaus come from? Germany, y'all. And what do they do in Germany? They have these little candy calendars for those of you who may or may not know, and they set their shoes out for Christmas time, and the Saint Krampus or Saint Nicholas is supposed to come and put candy in their shoes. Now, when we talk about Saturnalia or Christmas, it is a satanic practice and a satanic holiday. And basically, that was the sacrificing of children to a deity called Moloch. It was very satanic. So you want me to apologize because I don't believe in the sacrificing of innocent children. I will not apologize for that. And I'm not going to apologize because the fact that our history has been reversed, remixed, and given back to us in the form of trickery. I'm not going to apologize because I don't celebrate these practices and I don't subscribe to Christianity. I'm not going to apologize for, doing research into the narrative and lies that have been fed to us and shoved down our throats year after year, and especially for what they want to call Black History Month, when we know Black history is not just for a month. We've been here since the very beginning of time. And I'm not going to apologize for the simple fact that what y'all want to call immigrants does not refer to us because we were already here, Native Americans, indigenous people of this land, okay? And I'm not going to apologize when they told me that Christopher Columbus came here here and discovered America when we know that's a straight up lie? How could you discover something that's already been here, right? When the Native Americans were already here. I'm not going to apologize for the trail of tears that our generations of Native Americans were put through when they came over and conquered this land. I'm not going to apologize, y'all, for the fact that we had to have a 1968 Equal Housing Act just so our melanated people could purchase real estate. No, I'm not going to apologize for that because they did not want you to be able to purchase houses, melanated people. And the fact that I feel that it's so sad that these things had to come into place because of all of the discrimination practices. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm not going to apologize for the simple fact that they implemented affirmative action because most melanated people would not get hired and could not get jobs despite their credentials. Why did they put that into place? It sounds a lot like DEI. So history repeats itself, people. I'm not going to apologize for these things. We didn't tell these people to come over here. They came over here because they wanted to. And when they came over here and saw how these indigenous people were living, they wanted to conquer the territory because they said, look at what we've discovered. Like savages that they are, they came over here and killed off a lot of the Native Americans and indigenous people. Y'all melanated people, you are also Native Americans, whether you know or not. That's in your DNA. They came over here and killed people off with their diseases, okay? Look at the bubonic plague. That came from filth and nastiness. They came over here interjecting themselves like they always do into our affairs. And now that I have this platform and I'm speaking about it, they're still coming over here interjecting themselves into our conversation, right? And then let's talk about the Tuskegee experiment that happened to our melanated men. Why I will never always put my trust into some of these doctors with these white lab coats, because we know that everything that exists on this earth, our creator, our divine creator put it here. They said we are made in the image of our creator. Is that correct, melanated people? Stand up. Let me hear you, shout it out if you understand where I'm coming from. We have a very unique connection with this universe, okay? And since we have a divine connection, our divine creator said, let us make man in our image. And if we're made in our creator's image, there is nothing about us that we should ridicule. There is no reason why we should say that we're deficient in any way, other than the fact that other people feel the need to oppress us. Why is there a need to try to oppress someone if you feel that you're already supreme? Then you should not even be worried about little old us, little old me. Why are you even over here? If you have such a supremacy complex, which I qualify or I consider an inferiority complex, why are you even here? So that is a question you have to ask yourself. It looks like your war is within you and within yourselves and with your people, because it seems like they're the ones that was involved in taking out Charlie Kirk. So I don't even know why you're here with all of this madness and angst. You're directing it at the wrong people. And if you take psychology, there is a thing called misdirected anger, because I also was going to be a psychology major. And I also had, she was a biracial, it was a African-American psychology class that I took, right? And she was biracial. She was half German and half melanated, y'all. Don't you know, she told me her melanated father told her that just because she is melanated, she will have to prove herself twice as much because she's melanated, y'all. But she didn't even look all the way like brown skin like me. She was, you could tell that she was like a higher complected biracial looking person, and I really liked her as an instructor. It was then that I was able to understand the perspective of how a lot of things happen in this country, because when we're always educated from a Caucasian perspective, do you know what that does to the psyche of a person? It misdirects and it indoctrinates and it misinforms and educates on purpose. For my melanated people out there, please read the book called The Miseducation of the Negro, okay? Because this is going on all across the world, and they will not stop at their antics. They are relentless. You know, the devil never sleeps. remember, the devil never sleeps. So just as relentless as they are, we have to be the same. And this is why this channel was actually birthed into fruition 6 years ago. And so for those of you who did not come onto the platform 6 years ago, why are you here now trying to argue with me because I'm speaking to who I'm speaking to? If you don't like it, go speak to your own people. You're not going to change my mind. You're not going to change history, and you cannot erase the truth of what people did in history. You cannot think that the likes of a Charlie Kirk can just whitewash the narrative and basically gaslight my people that have been through oppression, who I talk to on a daily basis, who I meet a lot of different people from Britain, from Europe, from Africa, from all over this globe. So I'm not just speaking from one vantage point, because I do believe in diversity and I do believe in unity. But do you? I don't think you do. And I don't care if you do or you don't, we're here. And if you don't like the fact that we're here in America, then you know what? A lot of you are from Scotland, Finland, Ireland, and all those places in Europe. You have somewhere that you can go if you don't like the fact that Brown Girls Are Beautiful exists. Brown Girls Are Beautiful is not, I'm not talking about me. And that's where you are very delusional. Brown Girls Are Beautiful is not talking about me. This is speaking from the vantage point of. And if you don't like it because I'm speaking from my vantage point, because the divine creator made me who I am today and put me through my experiences that I went through, and I'm speaking from that perspective, then go find your own perspective and speak there. You're not going to stop anything over here. So all of these comments in the comment section, they're not even getting read. So put your energy and your effort and your time into something else, such as research. Let's start there. Put your energy, effort, and time into finding out the true narrative of what happened in this country and why we are where we have arrived with the Charlie Kirk. Y'all, my melanated people, I'm speaking to you directly. Don't let these people race bait you into a race war. Put your energy into things that really matter, because they don't. Put your energy into educating your children, homeschooling your children, and reading books, making sure that they can clearly and properly communicate, writing with proper sentence structure, because I can see what's going on. And, you know, because I do work with children, I want to say that I really want to make sure that we're very clear. Education is very important, and it is, you know, taken lightly, you know, sometimes, that the fact that we do have an education system. Now, do I agree with the education here? No, I don't. I know that they paint lies for our children, especially. I know that they lie about our history, especially. So that's why I said it's very important to educate your children with the proper narrative, all right? Make no mistake about it. I already see the delusional people that come around thinking they're right when they're wrong. So anyway, Lonesome Dove, shout out to you. You said it's an Egyptian ankh, not a cross. Yes, this is an Egyptian ankh. This is not a cross, y'all. So for those of you that are coming in here, I wore this on purpose. And my melanated people know what this is. This is an Egyptian ankh, not a cross. Hence, where do you think they got this from? Where do you think they steal a lot of their, you know, religious beliefs from? What do you think they get a lot of things from? This is an ankh, not a cross. I don't wear the cross. I wear an ankh. If you don't like it, don't look at it. Okay? This is for the, y'all know what this is for the people who know. That's what that's for. Okay? Yeah. Adam Sandberg, you said, yeah, you're black. Okay. Well, good for you. Good for you. I don't subscribe to the terminology of black, but if you do, that's good for you. But y'all, you're not going to come in here. You're not going to make me feel offensive, delusional. You're not going to like get a, see, what they like to do is they want to trigger an emotional response for me. That's not going to happen. Yeah, they need therapy, DJ. They need therapy. You identify as black? Good for you. I don't. Yeah, I don't subscribe to black, because to me black has no real nationality. So I say melanated people. So I say Native American, indigenous people of this land. Y'all, I have to go. I would stay on here longer. I've gone way past my time. I wasn't supposed to be on here longer. Thank you to everybody who has interacted, who felt the need and the urge to actually post a comment that will not get read, because I don't have time. I actually have to go work with children, melanated children, Caucasian children, Asian children, Hispanic children, Middle Eastern children. I'm about to go do this work in the community, something that I don't know if Charlie Kirk was doing, but I'm about to actually go work with our youth. And let me say this before I leave. I think he debated a lot of college children is because you got to think at the age of 31, you've lived a little bit longer. When you're like college age and just coming out of high school, you don't have a lot of life experience. So once these children grow up or these young adults grow up, they'll get to have their own experiences in this country and they'll get to actually paint their own narrative. So, you know, it's one thing to try to debate a college student that doesn't have a lot of history or a lot of life experience, but when you've lived a little while in this world, that's when you can really talk. So I'm not going to listen to a 31-year-old that was only on this planet for 3 decades, okay, that comes from a perspective of privilege. All right, I gotta go, y'all, and I don't want any of y'all to ever let these people try to dictate who you are or make you feel inferior or make you feel any type of way about yourselves, because that is an inferiority complex when they have to do that. You know how they say when bullies want to bully someone, it's really not the person that they're bullying, it has something to do with them. Same scenario here, y'all. All right, I gotta go. Y'all take care and shout out to my melanated people. All right.